All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast. We have our guest, John Goodman here. John, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me, bros.
You're welcome. Thanks for taking some time to spend with us. And, we are really excited about this podcast to learn a lot from you.
Yeah, it's been a little while. I know we've been chatting for a little while about getting me on, and I'm glad we finally made it work.
Yeah, and you're always doing great things. So, cheers to more success.
There you go. I'll cheers my coffee. It's the morning for me, so I'll cheers my coffee.
That coffee in. All right, John. So we like starting off our show by getting to know who our guest is. So if you want to let us know who John Goodman is and kind of what your story is, that'd be great.
John Goodman's a dude who was a personal trainer for 9 years, wrote a book about personal training for trainers. The book did well, started a website, and has gone off the deep end into content curation and sort of helping fitness professionals do a better job by not necessarily by what I'm writing, because I've run out of good ideas, but by finding people who are the best in the world at what they do and bringing them all under one roof and helping them articulate their message better.
Right. And so you've been a personal trainer. You were actually in the trenches. So when was that aha moment where you're like, you know what, I need to kind of move on to something else and I need to help other personal trainers. That's why you created the Personal Trainer Development Center. So what was the driving force behind that?
Yeah, I'd love to say that it was altruistic and I was like, I want to help other people, but it wasn't. I wanted to help myself. I was 23 years old. I'd been training for 5 years at that point. So I trained while I studied kinesiology in university as well, at the university gym. And I was 23 years old and I reached the point that a lot of trainers get to, where I was making about as much as I could make, charging as much as I could in Toronto, where I'm from. I was full of clients. I was earning a commission for referring my overloader clients to other trainers. I was managing some trainers at the time at 23 years old. The youngest trainer that I was managing was 30 years old, and I was 23 at that point. And I was kind of like, is this what my life is going to be like? Like, I like this. This is fun for now, but kind of that aha moment for me was I played ice hockey and got slew-footed. I got tripped and had my hamstring pulled. Had to take 2 weeks off the gym. So that meant 2 weeks of not working. I was like, crap, like, this isn't a sustainable thing. Like, what's going to happen when I want kids? Like, I can't depend on my body 10 hours a day. I need to figure out something else. That kind of led me towards writing the book. I don't know why that led me towards writing a book for trainers. I really wish I could say that there was a master plan. When the book came out, I was like, well, now I need a way to actually promote the book. What the heck do I do? Mm-hmm. So I built a website to promote the book, and I very quickly realized that there are just a lot of people out there who have a lot of good ideas, but it's all kind of jumbled all over the place. Why don't I bring their ideas and concepts under one roof and kind of sell my book as a result? And that's how it started. Mm-hmm. It was all kind of to figure out a way for me to make money while I'm not in the gym, not so I could leave the gym. That was never the intention. Although that happened a couple years afterwards, but just so I could kind of create another income stream to, I guess, open up a little bit more flexibility, freedom in my life, so I didn't depend on my body completely.
Right. Got it. And then you started the PTDC about, 5 years ago? Or
started 2011.
2011.
March 2011 is kind of what we consider the official start date. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So about 5 years. Do you think the vision is going kind of accordingly to plan, or what you saw when you first started out?
There was no vision, man. I'm a personal trainer who hates goal setting. I'm a business owner who doesn't like vision, who doesn't really like. I kind of do. I've been to a lot of entrepreneur events, masterminds, business owners events. I've spoken at some. I've been to some very high end ones. I've hired coaches for as much as $1,000 an hour, $10,000 a day, like some of the top business coaches in the world. And they all stress things that I don't do. And I've become quite comfortable with that. One of them is vision. Like, I know exactly, I don't have vision. I have what I call, I guess, objectives. I have guidelines. And I call them objective filters. And those objective filters allow me to make good logical decisions, kind of take my emotion out of it, and help me establish the type of business and life that I want. And one of them is, what would this look like if it were easy? Okay. In my line of business, I could very easily create a new product every 2 weeks, a new product every week if I wanted to. But instead, I've said, okay, where's the gap in the marketplace? What is it that I think that I can provide better than anybody else in the world, where I can teach people how to be online personal trainers?
Yeah. Okay.
So I set out on a 3-year journey to figure out how to build that business better than anybody else on the planet. And I believe I did that, and eventually I created the first ever certification for it. I don't care about helping gym owners build better small gyms or CrossFit owners build better boxes. Like, there are people who do that stuff exceptionally well already. So I don't touch that space. So you asked where the vision is in terms of where it's evolving. I mean, yeah, it's evolving, but my main purpose is just making it the best curated platform of information for trainers on the planet.
Yeah.
There's really, if that happens, everything else falls into place.
Gotcha. I like that. It's a different like way to look at it. Mm-hmm. So Chris and I are really huge proponents on, kind of discovering, what your identity is, what your calling and assignment is in life. So my question is, what would you say that your calling and assignment is right now currently?
Well, currently, I think it's just to be able to build the best team possible.
Okay.
I've realized that I'm pretty limited in what I can produce. I've also gained a really good understanding of what I am great at and what I am not so good at. And trying to maximize my time doing the things that I'm great at. And in that free time, feeding that other element of me. This is my 5th winter in a row where I've spent overseas. I'm in Hawaii right now, where I'm away for 5 or 6 months of the year.
Right.
And part of that is getting away from the cold in Toronto. But another part of that is living in different cultures. I lived in Costa Rica last year. I lived in Uruguay the year before that. I lived in Thailand the year before that. Living in different cultures, getting to know that, feeding that other part of me to be able to see things that others don't, so I can produce stuff that others won't.
That's amazing. So you said that, the biggest thing is to build a team. So we are huge on that as well. And we've learned that the hard way going through our business, that we can't do it all. We can't have that superhero syndrome where you think you can do it all. So can you give us a couple of, examples of, what you should look for when building a team?
I don't know if it's necessarily what you should look for. I think it's what you should do. I am a huge proponent of building great operational documentation. And so we've got massive spreadsheets of operations for pretty much everything in our business, everything from FAQs to protocols for answering email. So like my admin filters my email. I mean, I hardly get email because it's all filtered, and she's got protocols of how to deal with everything. To, of course, administrative support, but now even operations of growing the site. Like, there could be weeks where I don't touch the PTDC site, where I don't even look at it. And we're still publishing 4 pieces of content professionally edited a week on there, and still getting it promoted in all the ways that it's being promoted and emailed out and all that kind of stuff. There's protocols for that. And the way that those protocols are built is I generally will do them all once. I'll film a video of me doing it, and then my admin will take that video. Right, and we even have, how a meta this is, we even have a protocol for how to write operational documents. Right, and so I'll film this video of me doing the thing, I'll send it to my admin, she'll write the operational document, she'll put it in the spreadsheet for us. Now we have that, and now I can hire out that job. And everybody who we bring on, every contractor, anybody else, part of their contract is they need to write out their operations of how they do what they do. And that's just an evolving thing. So I guess the other element of it is I don't want to deal with like 1,000 people. If you read any kind of business guru book, no one person should have more than 4 to 6 direct reports. And so if I have 4 to 6 direct reports, they have 4 to 6 direct reports, and so on and so on and so on. So in taking that to heart, for example, design, I used to work with a web designer, with print designer, with graphic designer, with all of these different people. I have a single art director. That's my report. She then serves out all of the different jobs. Like, we created a textbook, put it to print. I didn't even know the names that were going to be in the textbook. We had a new website built. I didn't even know who worked on the website because my direct report was, we call him a growth hacking overlord. But my direct report was him. He spoke to the web design company. I had to ask him the names of the people in the web design company so I could send him a thank you card when it was done. This website had been in development for 5 months. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know the names of the people working on it. Like, I hadn't spoken to them once. Yeah. So that's kind of, I guess how I've built the operations, that kind of stuff.
Got it. No, thanks for breaking that down. Yeah, and I want to go back to what you touched on, that you've lived in Thailand, you lived in Hawaii, obviously, you lived in Costa Rica. we haven't had the opportunity to live in a different country, but we've had, the very fortunate to travel different countries, experience the culture, everything like that. So I want you to tell the audience, why is it so important to go travel, whether you live somewhere or you just go and travel and experience other cultures to learn more about yourself or going forward about anything?
Sure. Well, I mean, first I'll break down. There's travelers and there's tourists, mm-hmm. right? A tourist is somebody who goes somewhere for a week, sees the sights, and then leaves. A traveler is somebody who works to actually integrate themselves into the community, right. And takes part in the community and gives back to the community that they're living in. We were in Costa Rica, and there was Costa Rica where we were living. It doesn't rain from January to April. There's huge droughts. Everything goes brown. There was a huge fire one night that took out 800 acres of land. It could have demolished the town that we were living in. It was actually a huge problem. It was spreading really fast. There were high winds. There was no water. The bombarderos, the fire department, didn't actually have water to fight the fire. Like, it was a huge thing. We went out at 11 p.m. at night on our ATVs that night with hundreds of other residents of the city with shovels. And I fuck you not. Like, this actually happened. We drove out on ATVs to the middle of the burning jungle with shovels and whatever tools that we could find to dig up all of the brush, hoping that the fire wouldn't be able to jump over the area that we were digging up, mm-hmm. so it wouldn't spread. And fortunately, the winds died down and it did end up working. But like, that's what happens when you travel. That doesn't happen if you're a tourist.
Right.
Right. And so I look at it and just say, well, I mean, if you actually want to do anything kind of different and interesting, you need to see and experience different and interesting things. And I think that's just as valuable, like feeding my business mind. Sure, you can read as many business books as you want, but I had an experience the other day at 2 different coffee shops I wrote about on my Facebook page. Like, one coffee shop, I asked them for a cup of ice. They said it was going to be $1. I said to myself, I'm never going back there again. This is a place I paid $6 for a coffee for. Mm-hmm. They told me it was going to be another $1 for a cup of ice. Another coffee shop I was at, I was sitting there. I paid another $6 because stuff in Hawaii is expensive. And a couple walked in with their coconut water that they were holding. They asked politely if they could drink it in there. The woman said, yeah, absolutely. Here's a glass of ice to pour it in. Hmm. Right? I go back to that coffee shop again and again and again, yeah. And I will the entire time that I'm here. So, like, what's the business lesson in that? I mean, there's so much brilliance around us, right, that you got to kind of open your eyes to see, and you learn so much more from those kinds of small things or small brilliances that you would never get in any kind of a book. That's what I get out of travel.
No, that's great.
It's not like being able to do all these beautiful things and live on beaches and stuff like that. I mean, that's nice, but that's not why I do it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you actually mentioned that, because people can just like easily be perceived by like a Facebook picture or something like that, you on a beach, and be like, oh, okay, John's there just, doing the excursions or just enjoying the beach. No, he's not. He's actually going there to experience everything, to give back to the community, to learn those type of lessons. So right. I'm glad you mentioned that, man. That's really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I would say too, I mean, because I was going to ask the question, what do you enjoy most about being an entrepreneur? But it kind of summed it up a little bit, that maybe the fact that you love to travel and, getting that freedom.
Yeah, I mean, to be able to have these experiences with my new wife is priceless. I mean, before we start a family, like, this will be the 3rd, 4th winter in a row that we've spent 5 to 8 months together overseas, basically backpacking. Like, I'm somebody who owns a decent sized business that makes a good amount of revenue, that doesn't care about stuff. Like I don't own anything. I travel out of a backpack. When somebody gives me a t-shirt, I wear it for the next year because I don't own any other t-shirts. And when somebody gives me a new t-shirt, I throw out one of my old ones. Like, that kind of stuff doesn't matter to me. Mm-hmm. That's what I enjoy. When you travel, when you have to carry everything on your back, it makes you very closely calculate and figure out what actually matters to you and what doesn't. Yeah. I think it's so easy to accumulate a bunch of things and care about a bunch of things that don't matter.
Exactly.
And it's important to have kind of those stop gaps in your life that show you, okay, do I actually care about this or do I not?
Right.
And when you do that, you figure out that most things you don't actually need or care about, or they're not important to you. And if they are actually important to you, then great. Like, if you actually love cars, get a nice car. But I don't. So when I come here, I rent an island car, which is a beater, which we don't even know if it's going to start or not when I turn it on. But going back to the traveler versus tourist thing, like if I rented like a convertible Ford Mustang that a lot of people rent out here in Hawaii, you drive up to a hike or whatever. First of all, you're always worried that somebody's going to break into your car. People treat you differently when you arrive, all of that kind of stuff. Whereas now I drive up, I look like a local. People respect more what I'm doing, and it's just a different vibe when you arrive.
Right. Yeah.
Very, very well said.
Yeah. All right, John, so we're going to switch gears a little bit. So Eric and I are both very fascinated with people's lifestyles, the day-to-day stuff that they do from literally morning to night. Walk me through a day in the life of John Goodman, literally from when you wake up to when you probably go to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big schedule guy. I'm not a big organization guy. And it depends too. I work on a 6 month lifestyle that I'm trying out. So 6 months in the summer when I'm in Toronto was high development mode, where if I'm developing, I'm not exploring, like that's my priority. If I'm in exploration mode, then my development is secondary. So right now, exploration is number one, development is number two. So keep that in mind because my schedule kind of flips. But I'll wake up at 6:37 in the morning here. I'll usually kind of log on, check in with my team, because by the time that I wake up, most of my team is on Eastern Standard Time, so they're 5 hours ahead.
Right.
So if I wake up at 7, it's noon for that. Mm-hmm. So I'll just check in, just make sure everything's good. I picked up CrossFit here for the first time ever, which I'm enjoying. So the CrossFit classes that I go to are 8:30 a.m. So wake up at 7, check in with the team, have a bit of a bite to eat, go work out at 8:30. I'm back at about 10. That's when I'll dig in and do an hour or two of work, whatever is kind of the top priority to do that day. Usually around 1 o'clock or so, then Allison and I will go out and explore. So that might mean that we go on a hike. It might mean that we check out a new beach. It might mean that we meet up with people. There's been a music festival the last couple of days here that we've gone and checked out. And then, to be honest, we're usually home. Like it gets pitch black about 6, 7 o'clock. So we'll go to one of the beaches here around 5:30, kind of nap, take in the waves, take in the sunset. When it gets dark, we'll come home 6, 7. Allison will make dinner. I'll usually read, and then we'll go to bed at like 9:30. That's the days here. At home in Toronto, when I'm in development mode, my best time to work is in the morning. So I wake up at 6. I am working straight from 6 to 11 a.m. I don't book a single call. That's my time. Mm-hmm. At 11, I'll usually go out for a walk. I don't train as hard in the summers. Because when I'm doing CrossFit or something, like I'm mentally shot at the end of that, right? Yeah. So in the summers, I'll usually go for a walk around 11 or 12. I'll kick back, do another work session around 2:30 for another 3 or 4 hours. I'll eat dinner, and then I'll usually read or get all of my stuff in place for the next day working around 7 to 10.
Cool, gotcha. Man. Love it.
I forgot to ask too. What part of Hawaii are you in?
I'm in Kauai.
Okay, wow. Nice. Yeah, we've been to Maui, and it's beautiful out there.
Oh yeah, I lived in Maui for 3 months a couple years back. It's wild.
It is.
It's
awesome,
it
makes you really appreciate life. So my next question, we're huge on. Chris and I have dealt with a lot of adversity in our life, and we're very interested in other people's adversities and how they overcome them. So my question is, what was the lowest point in your life, and how did you overcome that?
Man, I'm fortunate. I've had a good life. There were little adversities and stuff like that, but I'm from a reasonably affluent Jewish family in a good suburb from Toronto. I could walk to school every day of my life, elementary school, junior high, and high school. They were all good schools. I was smaller, so there was a little bit of bullying and crap, but nothing that mattered. I had my university education, paid for so I could graduate debt-free. Like, I'm fortunate. I'm not one to talk about adversities. I understand that. I respect people way too much that have actually gone through tougher times and adversities to even begin to pretend like I have. So I kind of look at my situation and say my upbringing was very advantageous. I'm lucky. And what can I do now to appreciate that and kind of give back as a result of that?
Yeah. No, that's great, man.
Eric forgot one thing, man. We were given this adversity of these big eyebrows. You got the brows going on too, though.
I know.
It's a good problem.
It's a good thing, though.
I'm actually really lucky. Again, I have a lot of hair on my head and very little on my body.
Oh, okay.
versus basically the rest of my family that's opposite.
Yeah.
It's like funny. Eastern European Jewish family, right? Like everybody has the basic horseshoe pattern and like the big tuft of chest hair, like coming out of their shirt at the top here. The shoulder patches, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. I got a bunch on my head. I get a little bit in the middle for sure that I need to, go through and plug.
Right.
I'm getting some in my ears now, which is gross. I get rid of those pretty quick. Other than that, no, it's pretty good.
Yeah. All right, man. So how do you challenge yourself daily? And then just why do you think people don't challenge themselves?
I can't speak for other people why they don't challenge themselves. And there's way too many things going on that I don't understand in other people's lives. How do I challenge myself daily? I just make sure I read. I make sure that I'm reading every day. I don't care whether it's fiction or nonfiction. I've actually started to read a lot more fiction. I've started to skew a lot more in that direction. Popular nonfiction, I've begun to realize that I kind of understand the basic principles of how I want to live my life and my business, that there's not too much to gain from a lot of nonfiction books anymore, that I can learn a lot more from the didactic lessons from fiction.
Right.
There's a lot more thought-provoking lessons from great fiction.
And so can you give me an example like what you're talking about with that? Like an example with the fiction, the thought-provoking stuff?
Yeah. One that just pops to mind, there's the King Killer Chronicles is a great fiction series. The first two have been published. The third hasn't yet. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Incredibly written, those books. And it's kind of fantasy, but like real life fantasy. Like most of it seems like it could happen, but then you don't quite know when and where it happens. And there's like magic that is going on, but there's like the magic isn't. Like the magic is kind of magic explained in a way that makes sense. It's like, oh yeah, that could happen. Then you're like, wait, no, that's not reality. Mm-hmm. So one of the lessons that was really interesting is they were talking about secrets. And I know you guys are copywriting bros, so you'll appreciate this. The word secrets is used a lot. It's like, learn the secrets for this. Mm-hmm. Learn the secrets to get a six-pack or whatever it is. And it explained to me in a way that I have never had explained before, the difference between a mystery and a secret. Right? A secret is information not known. Oh, sorry, a secret is information withheld. A mystery is information not known. And so those kinds of minor differences where you kind of take a step back, you're like, okay, well, a mystery is something that nobody knows. A secret is something that somebody has withheld. Secrets don't exist anymore. Information isn't withheld anymore. Right. You can find out anything you'd ever want to know, right? And one of the things that I stopped doing was using the word secret in copy. I prefer the word savvy now, but those little things, right, where I could read a whole 700-page book, but that one lesson has stuck with me. Yeah. And it's kind of made me look at things, and it's like, okay, well, what's actually not known? And when I encounter a piece of information that I want to know for whatever reason, I kind of say, okay, is this a mystery or is it a secret? And if it's a secret, then I know that it exists somewhere, and I can go find it. If it's a mystery, then it's going to take a bit more work and a bit more inquisition to try to figure it out.
Yeah, gotcha. Cool, man. Thanks for sharing that.
I like that. Thank you. Okay, John, so we're going to transition into our rapid dynamic questions. So you ready?
Sure. Does this mean I have to answer really quick?
Oh, it's totally up to you.
I'm going to drink some more coffee for this so I can be really dynamic.
We just exaggerated a little bit. My first question is, what skills are you currently working on, and what skill do you think you lack the most right now?
I am currently working on being compassionate and understanding where other people come from. This comes into place a lot with working with people on the team, working with people that I'm working on with projects. What skill am I worst at? It's the exact same thing. It's been me, and only me. I've never worked for anybody else in my life. When I was a personal trainer, I worked for myself. I started my own business that was only me for the first number of years, doing everything, start to finish. I had contractors to fill in some gaps, but it was me all along the way. And this transition of understanding that I need to give off, jobs to other people, and that it's going to get done, and that I can't check every single element of it, and trusting other people and taking time out, not just to say, hey, you did this wrong, but to say, hey, you did this really well.
Yeah.
I think it's just as important. So that's That's your answer to both.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Questions.
If you could have dinner with one person that's alive and then one person that's dead, who would they be?
Oh, I don't know, man. I could have dinner with one person that's alive. It's my wife. I mean, I have dinner with her all the time, but I'm gonna say that I'm gonna still take the easy way out and say that. Like, I don't like I spoke to him. You guys know John Berardi from Precision Nutrition.
Yeah.
We spend a fair bit of time together in the summers because he lives about 45 minutes away from me, west in Toronto. And, he spoke about his partner, and I was his partner in that company, just loves going out and has basically heroes that he really wants to meet. And he's just brilliant at like befriending his heroes. And it's done them and the company a lot of good. But JB and I kind of sat down, which like, we don't really I don't really have. I mean, I've met people who are, I guess, popular. In many different circles, and I don't know. I don't really. It doesn't affect me. Like, I don't get starstruck.
Okay.
I don't get that world. So I don't think that there's anybody. I mean, sure, there are people that I'd like to ask questions of. But again, this comes down to, I guess, another lesson from fiction that I've picked up, which is the difference between a coach and a mentor. Everybody talks about wanting a mentor, but if you read any of the old sort of Japanese samurai books, Musashi, any of those types of things, mentors are not people that you pay to be part of their coaching groups. Like, that whole concept is complete and utter bullshit.
Right.
That's not a mentor. A mentor is somebody who truly believes in you, who chooses you, puts you under their wing, and guides you along the way because they believe that you have something special to give back in the world, not because you paid them X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
A coach is very different. I'm going to approach, if I want to attain a piece of information about something, let's say that I have something that I want to build, right? I take a look at that. I break it down in Elon Musk's words into its first principles, into all of its different varying parts. And I say, I know how to do all of these things, but there's this, this, and this that I don't know how to do. Well, I think I can get better at. Who do I think is the best in the world at those things? How can I get in touch with them? And how can I get them to let me pay them whatever they want me to pay them to learn that one piece of information?
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so that's why I say, like, I'll hire somebody for $10,000 for a day. But he's not my mentor. He's somebody who knew something that I wanted to know. And so I reached out to him and I said, how much would it cost for you to tell me what you know about this?
Right.
And he said $10,000. And I said, sure. Same thing with somebody who I will pay for an hour of their time. So there isn't, when it comes to sort of who I would have dinner with, that's my roundabout answer to it. There isn't anybody. It comes down to kind of what knowledge I want to attain at that point in time, and how can I kind of go out and seek.
Yeah. I think that's great too, because we've asked this question to several guests, and this is the first time you've pretty much said something very different, which I like it. I like your answers. I really like how you broke down the mentor and coach thing. So thanks for sharing that, because I think too, a lot of people with mentors, they take it for granted. They just don't really understand it. And, when you're a student, you have to have humility. You can't sit there and have that ego. You have to sit there and be willing to learn and be that student and just, take that step back. And people just don't get that. So thanks for breaking that down.
Yeah, for sure.
So next.
And dead, I don't have anybody that is dead. I mean, I'd love to sit down and go to the batting cage with Ken Griffey Jr., but he's not dead. It's just, I just want to watch his swing up close in real life.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all that's about.
Gotcha. All right, next question. Are you an introvert or extrovert?
I don't know. I don't like these types of definitions. If you could tell, I guess I would be closer to a definition of an introvert. Like, I like solitude. I like being by myself. If I'm in a big city, I need to escape pretty soon. I am very hypersensitive to light and sound, so I can take it in small doses, but if there's a lot of sound, for example, I feel it in my chest. And if I'm in a place, let's say I'm speaking at an event somewhere, and it's great and I love it and I love being around people for those couple days, but I need to escape afterwards. And I need to go by the water and sit with a book and stare into space for a little bit afterwards. So I'm not somebody who yeah, I mean, that there's a reason why I don't live in big cities.
Yeah.
There's a reason why even in Toronto, I moved out of the city. You know, I live out west of the city along the water. And so I can go into the city when I want, but I can escape.
Yeah. Okay.
Gotcha. What competitive edge do you feel you have over others?
This ability to be very objective and logical in my approach. It's something that I've worked on a ton. It's something that I continue to work on. It's something that I think comes naturally as well, almost to a fault, is I guess, being too logical, not emotional, you know, when it comes to relationships and stuff like that. But the ability that plagues a lot of people, I think, when they're building up their business is that they're too close to stuff and they don't make good decisions. In order to make a good decision, you need to be very objective in your approach. You need to ask really good questions. You need to take a step back and separate yourself from that thing and say, even though I might have invested a lot into this thing, maybe it's not such a good idea. You know, like, I won't bore you with projects that I've taken on, but know that I've spent hundreds of hours on projects that have never seen the light of day because I've just taken a look and I was like, this didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to. Mm-hmm. And I mean, hundreds, like projects that have been, and I kid you not, hundreds of emails that I've written that have never seen the light of day. Books, I have a file, of course, of books that are half written, like anybody else who's written books, that will probably never see the light of day, that didn't turn out the way that I wanted them to. And so it's being very, very methodical. It's being very objective. It's asking good questions. It's removing emotion. It's removing sunk cost from the equation. It's trying to make the best decisions possible. And it's all of these objective filters that I can run all of my decisions through. That really help.
Gotcha. Okay, John. So before we get into our final question that we ask all of our guests, I just personally wanted to, acknowledge you and say thank you very much for coming on our show, giving us your wisdom, your expertise. This has been a hell of an interview, and I personally learned a lot from it. Yeah. So I just want to say thank you, and, cheers to continued success on what you're doing all around the fitness industry. It's brilliant. It's amazing to see, and it inspires the hell out of myself.
And I'll echo every single thing of that, man, since I'm a twin.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. So the last question is, what is your definition of living a dynamic lifestyle?
Just being able to wake up in the morning and do whatever I think is the best for me to do, for me, for my family, and for other people on any given day. I kind of say it's the perfect day for me if I'm able to read, do a little bit of work, usually writing, work out, take a little bit of time to myself, and spend time with people I love. I mean, if I can do those things every single day, I'm pretty happy. And I guess, it's not, if you've noticed, like, I'm not somebody who has like these crazy, insane goals. Like, I'm just a guy who's having fun day by day, who has kind of rules that guide him. And every once in a while I was able to kind of take a step back and say, hey, is this what I really want? Is this what I don't really want? If I really wanted to crank the business, I'd move to New York City. And I try to build a $100 million business out of what I have. I don't really want that. I want to grow and expand in different ways. And so for me, that's kind of what the definition is.
Yeah, got it.
Man, love that. Solid.
Blown away, man. Thank you so much, John. Where can our audience go and follow your work and everything like that?
Yeah, I mean, if they're a fitness professional, the Personal Trainer Development Center, the PTDC.com,
Okay.
which is the best place for fitness professionals. If anybody's an online trainer, just search Online Trainer Academy.
Okay.
In Google is probably the easiest thing. Although if you go to the PTDC, you can find it. Those are the two places I'm hanging out now. I don't really do much with you guys know a little bit about sort of the viral marketing, psychology, of social media stuff that I used to do. I did publish a book on that, but I don't really do much with that anymore. I think about it a lot, but it's not my priority. I like to actually put those methods into place and grow my business versus talking about those methods somewhere else at this point.
Cool. All right, we'll have all that up in the show notes. John, thanks again for your time, buddy. Really appreciate it.
Thanks again.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
All right, John.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching the video. So below, I want you guys to subscribe to our community. From there, you guys can get your 2 guides on the Physique Development Guide, the Nutrition Myths Dispelled Guide, and join our community and get all access to everything else that we're giving out.